An armed militia has taken over a federal building in Oregon, and they're saying they will not fire unless fired upon, but violence is not out of the question. What's up, everybody? Timcast here. I am currently in my hotel in San Francisco, just chilling, minding my own business, and this story is blowing up on social media. You may have heard about it. It's about these militiamen who have taken over a wildlife refuge in Oregon. They're doing it in protest of what they view as the unjust prosecution of the Hammonds. It's these two guys named Dwight and Stephen Hammond. Dwight is the father, is in his 70s, and Stephen is his son. They were convicted of arson relating back to a fire that occurred in 2006. Now, the federal government is saying that they were trying to cover up poaching and ended up destroying about 127 acres of public land. However, they claim they were doing a controlled burn to protect their property from lightning fires. I don't want to talk about any of that. You can read about it, and I'll post some articles that'll give you a breakdown. What I want to focus on is the fact that my entire newsfeed on Facebook and Twitter is full of people who are just outright condemning these actions. So first of all, I don't agree with taking guns and taking over a federal building. That just seems pretty crazy. But what's really odd to me is the people who are defending the federal government in this instance, because I mean, a lot of these people who are posting on my feed are the people who are protesting the corrupt judicial system and calling out prosecutorial corruption. So it's just kind of weird for me to see these same people being like, well, the government called them poachers, and they're just poachers trying to get away with it, and they're using this protest and the militia as, you know, to defend themselves. And I'm kind of like, you know, look, the government is making a claim, and these guys were convicted. But the people who defend them are saying that the conviction's BS, and that the government is coming after them. Whether or not these guys are arsonists and poachers is still not even the issue. The issue that I'm bringing up is that they were sentenced. Dwight was sentenced to 3 months, and Stephen was sentenced to a year in prison. They served their prison time. So they got out, and then the appeals court ruled, hey, that sentencing was unlawful, and you got to go back to finish the remainder of those 5 years. Now, the people who are defending the Hammonds are saying that's like double jeopardy. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if that's double jeopardy or not. But personally, I think it's kind of messed up that you could be sentenced, go to prison, get out, and then have a judge be like, nah, you know, you got to go back in. Yeah, that one didn't count. So to me, that's messed up. I personally find that to be really crazy. But the reason I'm making this rant is because I'm seeing people post on my Twitter feed, one, saying that's not a big deal. They're criminals and they're arsonists and they should just go to prison. So they're defending the federal government's story, saying, oh, the government's right and these guys are criminals who should go back to prison to serve their sentence. And then you've got people who are actually defending federal minimum sentencing, which to me is nuts, because my feed is constantly full of people who are saying federal minimums are wrong and should be gotten rid of. They say that our prison system is corrupt. We have more people in prison than any other country. We have the highest density of the prison population, and we have 25% of the world's prison population. And then these same people are going online and saying, but the government said they're criminals and therefore send them to jail. I guess what it really comes down to is, you know, like, I'm ranting here, but if you're going to spend your time protesting a corrupt system, the prison system primarily, saying that it's racist and it's overbearing, prosecution will do anything to make their case, there's innocent people in jail. We even have this documentary series right now that everyone's talking about, Making a Murderer, and saying like, oh, the prosecution is corrupt, and they're signing petitions saying, get these guys out of there. But then as soon as they find out that it's the government going after, you know, right wing, then they're immediately going like, oh, the government said they're criminals. But this goes both ways, because I see the exact same thing during like Black Lives Matter. You've got the conservatives saying, oh, well, the police are trying to arrest these criminals. And then in this instance, you've got the left wing saying, oh, these guys are poachers and arsonists. I guess what it really comes down to is, you know, if you think the system's screwed up, it's not just screwed up for you. It's screwed up for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And I'm just, you know, ultimately, I'm just surprised that everyone's siding with the government now when in every other case they don't. But there's one last thing that I really want to end off with, because I'm seeing a lot of people calling out, saying, oh, they're white guys. Imagine if insert ethnic minority here took a bunch of guns and took over a building. I get the criticism. We saw instances where people came out with guns in Ferguson. Not in this organized fashion, but, what did we see? With or without guns, the police were there in Bearcats with assault rifles. So I definitely agree that, come on, that race is an issue in a lot of these instances. But the important thing that I think no one's really talking about, they're in Burns, Oregon. The closest airport is 110 miles away. I can't even get there. I have to fly and rent a car and then drive for a few hours. They're in the middle of nowhere. There's no local police force of merit. There's a sheriff's department. And there's not going to be a large organized raid like we'd see in any of the major cities because there's just nobody there. They're in the middle of nowhere. And on top of that, it's federal jurisdiction. So we can't even see a response from the locals because it's federal jurisdiction. And the latest report I'm seeing is the feds are talking with local law enforcement, with sheriffs, to figure out how to go and resolve the situation. If you were in a big city like New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, whatever, St. Louis, they've got thousands of police officers who can respond in an instant. So these are things to keep in mind. Rant over. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Anyway, rant officially over. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like these videos and you like documentaries, because I got some of those too, make sure to subscribe. Also, like and share. And you can follow me on Twitter @TimCast. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.